Everyone here is terrified and destitute. We met them the morning after the homes of all of the 8 families living here were set ablaze. Susan Simon told us men with guns came in the night. She raised the alarm and they all fled, then watched from a distance as their lives went up in flames. It's the latest in a series of similar attacks in the southwestern city of Yambio. They appear to target certain ethnic groups, but nobody here says they have any problems with their neighbours, and many suspect politicians are trying to pit communities against each other, not for the first time in South Sudan.
We don't know what to do. I'm asking the people doing this to stop it and for the government to provide security.
The government says it's committed to peace as violence in several parts of the country is rising and civilians are paying the price. Even the school children's pencil cases have been reduced to ashes. The families are wondering if the children will continue with their education, they'll need to be able to afford the fees. And in here, a motorbike, which can be a livelihood for an entire family, reduced to a wreck. And the families here are wondering how they're going to survive or if they'll ever feel safe again in the place they've lived their entire lives. If they leave, they'll join more than 4 million South Sudanese who've been forced from their homes, mostly by armed conflict. A 2018 peace deal ended 5 years of civil war. The UN says the country's on the brink of another. Officials and residents in the northeastern Upper Nile State say dozens of civilians have been killed this week in airstrikes by forces allied with President Salva Kiir. His government says it's targeting fighters who overran the city of Nasir, killing dozens of government troops. The army spokesman says these men are some of the surviving soldiers. The escalating violence follows the detentions of dozens of commanders and officials allied to President Kiir's civil war rival, Vice President Riek Machar. His faction's known as SPLA in Opposition, or IO.
All this were caused by SPLA. These were the prime suspects. We knew that we were fanning the flames of war.
This convoy of Ugandan forces has arrived to fight for President Kiir's faction, which is known as SPLM in government, or IG. Machar's officials say their arrival violates a UN arms embargo and the peace agreement, and so have unprovoked attacks on their demobilized fighters.
The SPLM is just making excuses to abrogate the agreement and taking the country back to war.
International calls for President Kiir's government to release Machar's detained allies haven't stopped the violence. Back in Yambio, homes keep being burned. This one belonged to Marco Juma. He's now staying in abandoned farm workers' accommodation in another town. He says his children were inside the home when it was torched. They all made it out. But he says he doesn't know if they'll ever be safe to go home. Malcolm Webb, Al Jazeera, Yambio, South Sudan.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.